Okay, how's it going, everybody? So we're doing Gonzo up your ass. We have me, Avenger Satanis, and Brian from Deathtrap Games.
Hi.
How's it going, gents?
Pretty good. How are you?
Not too shabby. Ready to talk about some great wubbalub dub dub. You know, all the insert catchphrase here. You know, all that kind of good stuff. So Brian, so we're, we usually have this is a dumb thing to say. We usually have Vendra on here, Vendra and I. But so Brian is the newer face. People may have seen his blog posts, and they are fantastic. I have put a link in the description. Y'all should definitely check it out. And we also saw him on Inappropriate Characters, and I'm sure several other appearances as well. But why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, Brian?
Well, actually, Inappropriate Characters is about the only thing I've been on besides tonight. I run a blog called Deathtrap Games, which is just my headcanon because I'm constantly thinking about something new. I decided, I guess, about a year and a half ago that I was playing a lot of 5e and I wasn't getting anywhere with it. I have two kids; they're very young, and so I just don't have the time right now to play a game that slow. I found myself thinking, well, why aren't I playing something like AD&D 2E? When I was playing that as a kid, it was really, really fast. And so I went online and suddenly was seeing all this OSR stuff, which I'd missed out on except hearing about Labyrinth Lord once. And, my head absolutely exploded. And so I grabbed whatever I could for free, whatever I could relatively affordably, and started writing reviews, reading it, researching it, grabbing all kinds of ideas. And the blog started off as a combination of reviews and things like random tables and monster stats, and I started also adding in think pieces and ideas that I had and began writing modules after a couple of months after that, and now it's something where I'm putting something out every few days, whether it's a review or a new set of tools or some kind of idea that's going on in my head. I've always got something going on.
Hell yeah! Now I gotta kind of like point and laugh for a second, because you just said that that fifth edition was running slow, and you said that you remember second edition running fast, and I know that there are a lot of people that are like, AD&D fast, what are you talking about? But no, I mean, I get what you're saying, and I have seen people able to run that like a well-oiled machine. Depending on what kinds of things you are highlighting and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, and you didn't mention how you murdered one of my characters before.
uh, that was back in the summer. I was trying to get a blog or a podcast together so that I could run a few OSR games and put them where people could see them, because there's not nearly enough of that going on. And so I set up two. One was Lamentations of the Flame Princess, but running Candlekeep Mysteries. And for that one, I just grabbed as many crotchety old guys in their late 40s and early 50s as I could, with the idea of watching them just absolutely obliterate these dungeons in like 10 seconds. Literally, the first encounter, they pretty much short-circuited the entire challenge of the dungeon by doing something that everybody who's played D&D since the 80s knows to do: spike that door open. The whole premise of the adventure is you're going to get stuck in this place because this door is going to be shut behind you, and you got to find a password. And no, that's it. There's the adventure over. They went in, they looted the liquor cabinet, they stuffed all the silverware in a sack and walked out. And then the other one I wanted to do is run Chalt, because I've had a lot of fun with Chalt. I actually ran my then 4 and 5-year-old son in a kid-friendly variation of Chalt a couple of summers ago. It was a hell of a lot of fun. And the fact of the matter is, everywhere I found a whole bunch of great people I love to play with, all of whom suddenly had life get in the way all at once. So I got maybe 2 adventures in both campaigns, and then playing with adults, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that was freaking sad because, really at that point, we did I think we got like 2, maybe 3 sessions in
Mm.
of the Chalt game, and that was around the time that I had to basically drop like everything
Yeah.
because of work. And now it's a little it's a little bit better. It's a little bit better now. So,
Mm.
if you get another chance, then I and plus, I might be able to, wrangle some more people in, but it was a lot of fun.
Oh, I'm glad to hear it.
I can't remember if you mentioned that you're doing Crimson Dragon Slayer D20 for that, but it ran like silky smooth. It had a lot of momentum, and I really loved that. And plus, you just have a great way of running. That's
Oh, thank you.
it fosters a lot of creativity, and you're just quick with the feet. It just it was great. It was a fantastic game. And the I have never been happier to see a PC of mine die. Because that was one that I legitimately accept that was what had to happen in that situation. And it was beautiful. It was beautiful. Like, there aren't a whole lot of earned deaths that I've experienced. A lot of it's been forced, or it's been, just because the DM's mad at me and wants to get rid of me, something weird like that. But yeah, it was great. So really hope that goes off again. And I just think it's hysterical that the whole thing about that Candlekeep adventure is it's all hinging on that damn door. And I've seen a
Mm.
lot of adventure writing like that. I was talking about a Dragon Age RPG module that's basically everything is hinging on somebody getting stabbed with a poison blade, because now you need to go and find the antidote and everything. It's like, well, but at the same time, what if they're able to stop that poisoning from happening? Then
Mm.
no adventure, and that's fine. Like, it's good that they're able to do something interesting like that. So anyway, yeah, but I just thought it would at least amuse people to know that you have a skeleton of mine in your closet. So
Personally, I die all the time in D&D, and it's always earned, and usually it's grotesque.
as it should be, as it should be. I'm
Yeah,
trying to remember
it's better when
how
it's grotesque.
I'm trying to remember how my dude died. But
You were clinging to the side of a battle mech trying to jump a canyon. You're the
That's
only
right,
one
that's
without a
right.
seat, and you did not make that check.
yes, yes, yes. And it was kind of neat too. There was a lot of flavor in that game. There, like, you pulled out the Chalt flavor, I feel like, better than I pulled it out in my game. In my Chalt game, it felt a little bit too Agribah y, but then again, we spent a lot of time there in Agribah. And but I didn't like, whenever you pulled it off, it's like, I was like, this is kind of what Chalt's supposed to be. It had like intense mutanoid flavors in it. And I also liked the something, I think it's something that Crimson Dragon Slayer D20 had. It was like, your character has something unique about them or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So mine had a saw blade stuck in his head, and that's just a fun little thing. Nice little bit of flavor.
It should have been the ability to hang on for dear life.
If only I would have known.
Yeah.
Hindsight.
Now, my key to running Chalt was sitting down and listening to Mr. Bungle and Guar just before running it, and when I was making notes.
There you go.
That's good. Music almost always helps get in the mood, get the right vibe or the right flavor going. So yeah, and everybody likes something different. I mean, pretty much all I run these days is Chalt, but usually I'll listen to like dark ambient music,
Right.
anything from like monks chanting to, I don't know if you've ever not Googled, but like gone into the search for YouTube and just put in like dark ambient music.
Mm-hmm.
But all kinds of crazy things, like guy from Blade Runner reading the Necronomicon on his way out of town, going to like a black void where the elder gods are like skull fucking you, and it just all these like weird, elaborate titles, and whether that translates into the music or not, I don't know. But it's good to listen to and be inspired by, get ideas for. I like listening to music while I play too. I mean, it's easier for me because all my gaming in the last 2+ years has been virtual on Roll20. So, and I'll put in a link in the chat, like, this is what I'm listening to. If you want to listen along, cool. Or do whatever you want. Listen to your own music, don't listen to music. Mm-hmm. But I can kind of do my own thing auditorily on my side of the screen because it's text only. So there's no sound coming forth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm blown away by how well you run things text only. I've been in a couple of your games now, and I couldn't do it. One, I'm too slow a typer, but two, you still manage to handle what's usually a pretty unruly group of players who are. You've heard cats well.
Oh, thanks. Some of it's just practice being a game master.
Mm-hmm.
I do type incredibly fast. That helps. It also helps with the writing of the books. And I get confused too, but you know what? It's easier for me to just like scroll up and just see what someone said like 5 minutes ago and be like, oh, that's what it was. And I scroll back down and I, type whatever out.
That's a good point.
Yeah. And then especially for player reports, like after the session's over, I mean, you can't do any better than having the text like right there in front of you that you can look back at. And
you got the court stenographer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's yeah. And visually, if you're the sort of person that can visualize something by reading it, that's awesome. If you can't, then your enjoyment of the game is probably going to be severely diminished. Mm-hmm. That's just the facts. And a lot of people don't like text only. I can totally understand that, but for me, it works. So
yeah. For me, it's as long as it's a session, so like we have a start and a finish, and at that point, it's a lot better because I've played in one that was more play by post style, and it's just like whenever you're able to just post, and people would do entire novelizations of their characters' thoughts, and that's just dog shit. Well, okay, I'm sorry. For me, yeah, it's bad for me. It doesn't work for me.
Yeah. Well, you need people there to like set the pace. Mm-hmm. If you're alone in a room, like play by post, and you know that it's going to be like 3 days before anyone gets back to you, and you have anyone around to like hurry you up or get on to the next thing, the next encounter, or the next tunnel or corridor in the dungeon, then why not write a novel? In your spare time if you like doing that. But when you're actually there playing in a group and there's a certain kind of pace and a certain kind of momentum, I guess, where that you have to get your idea out quickly because someone else is going to be texting right behind you what their thing is. Mm-hmm. And if you don't want to get lost in the shuffle, you need to like get in, get out, and
you can't afford to write a novel.
No, yeah, you can't.
That is true. Yep.
It's like speed D&D. Like speed chess or speed dating or something like that. Like the games that I run on Roll20 have to be fast because they're at max like 90 minutes long. And so it's like speed D&D where it just feels lightning fast. We get in, we get out, 2 or 3 combat sessions, bunch of exploration, talking to people, 90 minutes, it's over. That was it. That was the session. So you can't dilly-dally or argue about, like, should I take rope? And if I do take rope, should I take, like, 100 feet of rope or 150 feet of rope? Like, maybe I can haggle with the guy because he wants, like, a gold piece for every 50 feet of rope. Maybe I can talk him down to, like, 2 silver pieces and just, like, come on.
Take it from Boondock Saints. You need all the rope you can get. But yeah, it is cool that like everybody I've talked to who's ever played in one of your online sessions over text is always like, man, we get so much done. You know, like it's always an exhilarating experience, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, especially whenever you're usually running a lean mean system to do it. You know, you're not worried about all the bullshit. It's just, you know, nope, you do this happens. You know, so that is cool. Well. So we are going to talk about Rick and Morty for a little bit, and we're also going to, of course, talk with the chat. So for me, I watched the whole show with my wife at one point. She actually was a bigger fan than I was at first, and then I actually got a I got to about Where Are My Balls Summer, and I fell in love with the show, and honestly, yeah, it's a fantastic show to me. Brian, you had only watched it just recently, correct?
Yeah. In fact, well, I was aware of it, and I was aware that a lot of people were associating it with kind of D&D style action. I'd never watched an episode before. I saw like a short 2-minute thing once. And so when you said you wanted to talk Rick and Morty, I'm like, there's my excuse. And so anytime my kids were not going to be looking at my phone and I could get my earphones in, I've been watching whatever Adult Swim has in their rotation at the time. So I've seen this huge random scattering of episodes from the first 4 seasons. Almost none of them. I had to teach myself how to watch television again. As you know, I'm do a little bit of streaming, but I stopped watching TV back in 2001.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
And so I'd be coming in the middle of an episode, and because you can't pause it when it's on their stream, I have to put down my phone for something or like and come back into it. It's like, I used to watch TV like this. But the beauty of Rick and Morty is you can come in the middle of the episode, and while you have no clue what was going on, you probably weren't going to have any clue of what was going on anyway.
I have to address this comment here. Malaki says, Rick and Morty, the show the hardcore fans ruined for me. Malaki, that just means that you're not the high IQ audience that they're trying to cultivate. But no, I know what you mean. They can be pretty interesting, especially the TikTokers and all of their lip sync cosplays, and it's an interesting crowd. It's an interesting crowd.
Maybe the millennials can help me out here. Can you be a cuck and an incel at the same time?
I would say, well, okay, but so if you're the cuck, then like there's nothing to cuck if you're an incel, I would imagine.
I don't know.
But I mean, that doesn't mean you couldn't provide cuck energy and be an incel. It's like, if I had a girlfriend, she'd be getting banged by somebody else.
Yes.
Oh, shit.
Maybe if you just imagine, like, what that would be like. I don't know. Anyway.
That could potentially be a hardcore Rick and Morty fan. Here we are. We're inviting people in, saying, "Hey, we're going to talk about Rick and Morty." Then we're going to insult them.
That seems to be consistent with the show.
That's okay. Oh yeah, it is.
I like Rick and Morty, but I'm not, a complete freak about it. I wasn't standing in line at McDonald's waiting for my Szechuan sauce.
That Szechuan sauce. That was by far the favorite of the ones I have seen.
It was a good episode, yeah.
Yeah, so that one I can't remember too well. So can y'all fill me in on that?
Well, I mean, the Szechuan sauce is just like a very small part of it. But in the end of season 2, Rick goes to jail. The interdimensional government run by flies has just taken over Earth.
Yeah, I remember that.
And so this is the episode where he's breaking himself out, and he's doing that by mind swapping from body to body, murdering people, murdering his own original corpse to try and fake his death. And he's dealing with this squad of other Ricks from alternate dimensions who are fighting the government that he hates because he's, as they put, the most Rick of all the Ricks. Can't get along with anyone. And he eventually eventually steals the brain from one of them and then kills the body therein, and he's got his own body back. And over the process of it, they pretty much all but eliminate Jerry. The intermarital arguments there actually have them separate and get ready to divorce. And at the end of it, Rick is talking about how insane this particular adventure was and how he doesn't know why the hell you'd want to keep doing this. And Rick talks about how he started this whole thing just over getting a packet of Szechuan sauce. And that's all he gave a damn about. That's all he cares about. He's going to get his goddamn Szechuan sauce. And
I mean, that sounds like a D&D campaign seed that went wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like everything is just spiraled into complete and utter horse shit because I wanted to do this one thing and I couldn't make the fucking roll.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like that's glorious.
That's kind of what Rick and Morty is. It's just like a very frustrated gaming group. I mean, Dan Harmon likes D&D. He plays, so he gets it, and he's like the game master, like a bad, like wanting to kill you game master mixed with the player that just wants to like do everything and like be the best and like kill all the dudes and get all the treasure for himself. It's like you merge those two archetypes together, and that's Rick. And then all the other people around him are like, he sees them as like his minions or henchmen or followers, and but really they have their own agency and their own goals and motives. And but it's fun to see like the chaos and the drama unfold, just like it is in a wacky Gonzo role-playing game.
True enough.
You know, I've had players who've gotten frustrated over something, and I think my best example here is I had a lot of very fun, unstable people in my high school group, right? They charmed Hobgoblin in this one adventure and had it lead them through the dungeon. It was, you know, high enough off the totem pole to just say, okay, it's cool, they're with me, and get them past a lot of stuff. And they decided that they were going to adopt it. We all had players who've adopted, you know, monsters. And then it got killed, and they dragged it off to a temple to try and get it resurrected. And the priest took one look at what they were dragging into his temple and said, get the fuck out. And they decided that if they weren't going to be able to get their favorite hobgoblin, Blarg, back, they're just going to burn the world. Like, they started by setting the priest on fire and throwing him into the most flammable part of the temple. And when the guards caught wind of that, they killed every guard in town in guerrilla warfare, abducted a bunch of people, stuffed them on a cart, and decided maybe the hobgoblins are right, and maybe we can get in good with them if we just sell them a few peasants.
Holy shit, this sounds like the best campaign ever.
I know. And so many game masters that would see that. They'd be like, I have to railroad them back into line. And
yeah,
like, no,
I prepared so much.
Keep going. Don't stop now. You're almost there to the batshit rainbow of murder hoboism.
Keep burning, guys. You know, it's at that point they didn't have any choice. It was constant warfare from there on out, and it was a hell of a lot of fun. They got bored of it because, you know, when you can't buy or sell your treasure and can't get training and the like, it starts to get a little tedious after a while. But my players, and in that era, and I just did a piece on a time when my players said, you know, fuck it, let's just go be pirates and let a goblin invasion destroy their homeland. You know, my players, I would let them do just about anything. I just roll with it. And eventually they get horrified at themselves. Like they develop a moral terror of what they had done or allowed to happen. And that's about the time they'd say, can we start another one? Let's press reset on this.
We took it too far. We don't need that much freedom.
You'd think they'd have learned after the first 4 or 5 times. And then we started playing Rifts.
They sound like a great group, man. Yeah. So there's for me. Okay, as far as Rick and Morty goes, there are like a few things that I'm mad that I haven't already done or thought of first. And so I wanted to talk about those, and I'm sure y'all might have a few of those too. For me, the first one was I think he was a mall Santa. He was a Santa guy, but the biological theme park. And I don't know if you got to see that, Brian, but
I did get to see that one.
You did? or did not?
I did.
Okay, yeah. So for those who don't know, the whole and there's gonna be spoilers here. I apologize, but the whole idea is that they have. I can't remember if they shrink you or if they made him bigger. I think they make him bigger.
They made him bigger.
Yeah. And you go inside his body, and so you've got like a whole ass theme park inside this dude. And because he's disgusting, there's all kinds of horrible diseases and things like that are trying to kill you. And there's also the autoimmune system trying to fight off the horrible diseases. And I feel like there's STDs and all kinds of stuff, and just kooky little theme parks, and people in there with ray guns and stuff like that to try and deal with all the horrible. I don't remember if it was ray guns or if it was they had big ass weapons, but I love that kind of it makes me think of that movie Inner Space. I don't know if y'all ever seen that before.
Yes.
But like just the idea of we're going inside an organism that we're not supposed to go inside normally is just a lot of fun. And I feel like that is like something that I would love to steal, maybe in a Gonzo game. Maybe you get shrunk down into you're going inside of somebody because you're trying to retrieve, something or eliminate something that's, screwing with them. But like that one in particular, really, to me, I was like, that would be a fucking amazing module to play out, especially whenever you have a big organism like that and you have an idea of how the body is laid out, it's like we kind of already have the map, and I think that's kind of an interesting way of looking at it. You can this is where the heart is. It's where the most core, important shit is. And if, bad stuff goes down there, then, but then again, if you have a doctor at your table, then, you might have somebody who's going to know way too much shit, and, they'll know how to shut everything down in the weirdest way. And they'll be able to, actually you, that kind of thing. But I loved that episode. What did y'all think about that one?
I've run a couple of adventures inside really big monsters for fun in the past. I actually, when I was a kid, I got a book called The Dragon Lover's Guide to Pern, which is just this incredibly elaborately illustrated set of images from the entire series. And it had a bunch of dragon anatomy sketches in it, as if somebody had dissected it and laid it out. And so I used that as a dungeon map with the idea that they had to deal with this massive dragon and kill its brain because you couldn't affect the rest of it. And it was a hell of a lot of fun. But I think I missed a beat there, having watched that episode where you have things like the coast to coast reporters talking about what they're seeing in the giant man, right? The Californians talking about the feet, New Yorkers talking about the face, and they pan to the guy in Utah. It's just going, God.
Oh man. Yeah. Another one that I really liked, that I felt like could be an interesting thing for maybe like just a really, I mean, you can kind of draw parallels between Rick and just like a really fucked up asshole wizard, of fantasy fame. And just have this micro universe battery pack that he created. Use that kind of thing for having things that power his incredible magical devices and things like that. You've got people that are living entire lives without knowing that all they're doing is serving as a battery pack. I mean, it's kind of like the Matrix in a way, for the machines, but that was something that I also loved. I don't know how y'all.
The multiple levels of Matrixness, I think, is kind of fascinating. And then one of the things that always gets me is, like, let's say they're doing an episode or maybe a couple episodes in a row or in a season, and they're like burning through other versions of themselves. And after the 10th or 12th one, I'm thinking in the back of my head, like how many more of these do they have? Why waste them or waste it when maybe it's because there's a limited supply? You should be conserving your other selves or doppelgangers from another universe or something like that. And then they'll showcase something where there's like, they'll take like a wedge of possible personas in a variety of dimensions. And it's like 100 billion. And they're like, oh yeah, that's just like 5%. And then for me, it blows my mind. I'm like, it's hard for me to even conceptualize. And when I was watching it earlier, I didn't even realize that if you're truly talking about a multiverse on a scale where it's pretty much damn near infinite, that like the numbers don't even matter anymore. It's like every time I see like that visually impressed upon me, it's like a paradigm shift where I'm like, oh yeah, like there's so many numbers that the numbers that we're dealing with, that we're watching, you can watch like 100 guys get mowed down that look just like Morty or just like Pickle Rick or something like that. And it's like, that's literally nothing because there's infinite. There's like so many you can't even like conceive of it. That's how many there are. And every time I see that, I'm like thrown like, oh wow, I was way off, or my preconceived conceptions were like just stupid because I didn't realize that they were working on this massive scale.
Yeah.
That like a Lovecraftian scale where my human mind can't even comprehend it. It's like, if I get close, my mind will probably like just melt away.
Yeah, you're kind of undermining the whole concept of that movie, The One, starring Jet Li. Have you ever seen that before?
Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, where basically if he eliminates every other world's version of himself, then he'll become the most powerful one.
I've never heard of that.
Oh, it's a cool movie. I liked it. It was funny because you see.
Is it fantasy or is it?
No, well, I mean it's sci-fi, I guess. I guess it's
sci-fi kung fu movie.
Yeah.
Huh.
More heavy on the kung fu. It's just that it necessitates sci-fi to function, I think.
Okay.
Or at least some way to travel from world to world. It's been a while. I just remember finding it funny because Jet Li has a few flamboyant versions of himself that he kills. But oh yeah. Cal says he likes that movie. It's just like Highlander. There can only be one.
Yeah.
Kung Fu Action Jesus, Dolly Pop says. I mean, there's
that sounds really good.
I mean, I love pretty much all Jet Li movies.
And what's it called? There's only one?
It's just The One.
The One. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll look for that on Amazon because that sounds good.
Yeah, it's entertaining. I'm a big Jet Li fan. But so
proper thing.
Were there any other episodes that really stuck out to y'all?
I don't know. You guys probably haven't seen it because it's a later one, but there's very few like words or dialogue. And in one part, there's just all these like snakes, like it's human civilization, but they're snakes.
I think I remember that one.
Do you remember that? And they parody a few different movies like Terminator and other things. It's been like a month since I've seen it, a month or two. But like you didn't have to listen to it. You could just watch the snakes beat themselves and go, and you kind of like got what they were doing. And then going back and forth through the future and dimensions, and it was crazy. And I love seeing the movie Terminator, but through snake people and animated. I just watching it, I was just like, this is amazing. Like, how did he come up with this? Like, that's one of those things where, like, I wish I would have thought of that. I mean, it only works in Rick and Morty, but still, it's a terrific idea, and it really comes across well on the screen.
Mm-hmm. I will say, I feel like this. I'm pretty sure this was Rick and Morty. I'm gonna feel stupid if it wasn't. But wasn't it Rick and Morty that had that thing where he was able to understand the squirrels, and then they were kind of like plotting or something. They're like, can he understand us? And then after that, the squirrels were kind of hunting him. I feel like that's a thing.
I saw about 5 minutes of that episode.
Okay. So I was concerned I watch a lot of weird shit, and I was concerned that maybe it was from another show, and then I was just going to sound like a total dumbass. But
it sounds familiar. I can't place the episode, but it does sound familiar.
I would
the TV I watch and all the acid flashbacks all fuse together after a while.
They do. I would love to pull that prank on a group whenever somebody casts comprehend or speak with animals or something like that. And then it's just they're like, "What the fuck? Did he hear us?" Like, they just all freak out, and it turns out that they weren't normal. Maybe they were experimented on or something like that. But yeah, like I love that. What do y'all think about the letting a player have a portal gun?
I am dying to try it. Actually, I give players an opportunity to just adjust a setting. I make some kind of like crazy D66 table of what's different each time they jump through, and you can get rid of all causality, right? You don't have to worry about whether or not they killed the villain. They're jumping to another world. It sounds like a great way to just completely throw anything at the wall. You want to use something like Crimson Dragon Slayer D20 for that. You would not want to have to run that in a complex system, but you want it to be something where, I mean, the other part of it is that you kill a character off, doesn't matter. They can be back in the next episode anyway. You TPK the bastards anytime you wanted.
Yeah, that would be cool. I would totally do that. Yeah, random table is probably the best way to go about it because, or at least to help you, the game master, like manage what happens, because otherwise you're just gonna have to like spontaneously ad lib like everything. So if you don't mind doing some of that, and then have a random table or two to like help offset some of the creative load that you're gonna have to carry. That could be really cool.
I would probably I can't remember what the rules behind the portal gun in the show are, but for me personally, I would probably have like a cooldown period or something like that where it has to readjust. That way, it's not like too much just pew 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 pew. Like, oh, we're in danger. No, we're not. We're in danger. No, we're not. There would have to be some pretty strict limits on it in order for it to be to not break tension too much.
That's maybe, a great idea.
Somebody mentioned Gonzo Stargate, and by the way, Stargate actually made Chelsea watch that the other night for the first time. And say what?
I assume it was the movie, right?
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I love SG1 also, but for me, the movie is just fucking classic, a sci-fi classic for me. And I love how in that one you have to, well, at least in the movie, you had to learn the right inscriptions on the gate in order to get it to function properly. And maybe if you wanted to do that kind of hopping from, it's not too different from a tuning fork for plane hopping, I guess. But at least having some kind of mechanism there where you have to make something. You have to learn something about the place that you go in order to go back to where you came from, or move to the next place, perhaps, or something. I'm not really sure, but
I haven't seen Stargate in like over 20 years, so I'm assuming I can find them for cheap on Blu-ray. I'm gonna go to Amazon after this. I'm gonna go look for The One and Stargate.
Well, I do know that you can catch Stargate on. Did we watch that on Netflix? No. We watched it on Prime. I think we watched it on Prime. That's where you can watch almost everything on Prime if you rent it.
I'm a huge fan of physical media, so.
Oh yeah.
If it's not going to break the bank, I want to physically own it and then put it in myself and then push play and then take it out again when I'm done with it.
Whenever the great calamity hits, you're going to be the one with a generator who's still able to watch shit.
That's right. Well, someone else told me I have a generator, and they can bring it over to my house, and we can all watch Blu-rays in my theater room, and someone else might have a popcorn machine. We'll hook that up to the generator, and then
run a theater and make them pay in bullets.
Yeah, there you go. Someone can get a still, and we'll make our own Mountain Dew moonshine, and
hey,
it's gonna be awesome.
The idea of the portal gun would be great. A great one to rip off Masks of Majora for, where you have one goal that is nearly unobtainable that the players have to accomplish. And each world they go into, there's a slightly different variation on what's in front of them to get to that goal. And when they fail, that's when they can jump to the next world.
Yeah, I like that. It's also it sounds, I mean, I haven't watched Quantum Leap, but isn't that kind of like what the thing is? He has to do the right thing in order to, maybe that's not Quantum Leap though. Maybe that's something else.
Quantum Leap's concept was you could possess different people throughout history and make their lives better. And some AI has basically taken control of him, and is moving him around time to try and make the best possible world.
It's I think it's Ziggy.
Yeah.
The reason Chelsea and I know about that is because of the It's Always Sunny episode. She
I was a big fan of that one as a kid.
Yeah, I missed out on a lot of great shows around that time because I was just, still had my I had my SpongeBob, I had my Rocco's Modern Life, and I just well, shit, I don't even know if I was like Quantum Leap. That might have been 80s, so I would have been
being a little earlier than Rocco's Modern Life.
Rocco's Modern Life, good shit, man.
It was good.
I think probably late 80s, early 90s.
Oh, okay.
Leap.
Yeah.
I never really got into Quantum Leap. I just love Dean Stockwell. I just don't. I love Scott Bakula too, but I don't know. I never got into that show. I never got into the Stargate spin-off shows. I don't know. Sometime though, if you like, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Sometime we should do a show on that.
There could be some interesting things to talk about from there. They've gotten to some interesting shenanigans. I don't know if it would like fit the Gonzo context too well, but it could at least fit
it can get kind of Gonzo.
Yeah, there are some of them. But I just realized weren't we talking about before how secretly Vinger and I are living in the same place because of the wall color. And now Brian's in our gang, so we're just accumulating. We're accumulating tabletop personalities. We're all living together, So, yeah,
that should be a reality show, and we should be on it.
Malaki says Rocco is based. I saw the episode where the neighbor tried to get him in bed before it got pulled. I saw that too when I was a kid.
Yes.
And I thought it was hilarious. It is a great show. I love.
He's up there with the one where he's trying to find a job and he ended up doing phone sex for half the episode.
I don't know how they got away with that shit on Nickelodeon. Like, what in the hell? But I mean, I'm really glad that they did. I mean, I guess Ren and Stimpy is really just as profane, and but yeah. They did get away with a lot of stuff, and my parents would just be like, I can't believe they show brains on there. That's gross. Like why would they do that? But beyond that, I don't think they ever watched long enough to pick up all the subtext, and my child brain barely understood that myself. So, but they got away with Animaniacs. Yeah, Animaniacs did a little bit of that too. I don't feel like it was quite as bad, but still a little bit. Hello, Nurse. I don't know if y'all ever watched that show, but they had an obsession with a very curvaceous babe.
I saw the first season before it went to the WB channel.
I don't know if I ever saw it before it went to the WB, but let's see. It clearly went over kids' heads. Yeah, that's one of the things that a lot of, and Vendra, I know. Well, actually, we're all dads here, so we've probably all seen how they do that in those movies. They'll throw a kid a joke for the parents. It's that the kids aren't going to get, and the kids are just like, oh, the parents are laughing. It's funny, yay.
I was a little older when I was watching Rocko's Modern Life. I was getting old enough to get the jokes by then, and that's why I kept watching it.
Oh man,
a lot of the kids don't know, so it's pretty easy. I mean, my wife and I will be talking, and the kids will be around us, but there's enough euphemisms where you can have a whole conversation and the kids won't know what you're talking about, but you can be talking about something that maybe they shouldn't be listening to. But it's completely hidden from them because they're not familiar with those words or the context or whatever.
Yeah.
My wife and I were using French to do that for a long time, but now the kids in French immersion, we're trying to work out a whole new set of codes.
Yes.
All right, so we got about 15 minutes left. So let's just talk about. I guess we can talk about. Are there any articles that you wrote that you want to talk about, or anything that you've been doing in your gaming that you want to talk about?
Oh, are you still doing? Don't talk about this, but talk about something else if you want to. But just if you don't know what else to say, I was just curious if you were still doing your solo,
right,
by yourself and blogging about those.
I am stymied on getting it onto paper right now because I have this really huge dungeon crawl that I completed, and a couple of the characters die in it, and I want to do that justice. Really had to really sit down and play with very tactical game because I ended up getting these guys wound up with these 8-hit die monsters when they're like second level, and try and figure out how they're going to survive while still being fair by using the Oracle to make all the DM decisions for me. And the other thing is it just turned into like a Ridley Scott movie. Every random encounter table had something new trying to kill them. Every time there's a chance for something to go horribly wrong, it did. Like, this was just bad roads. This is one of these adventures that you don't tell people about until you've got yourself well and truly drunk. And so I'm trying to type it out, but it's turning into this freaking novel. So I'm either going to have to narrate it, steal something from John from Tale of the Manticore's way of handling the format, or I'm going to have to do some kind of video or something, because just writing it out is just taking up too much time and is too bulky. But I'm absolutely loving soloing the Purple Islands, because every time I turn around, something absolutely deranged happens in that game, and it's not even my fault. I'm Hex 2, because of where I randomly started, had to save the world from alien holograms who are about to create a singularity. It's just an absolutely stunningly crazy module. Thank you for that, Venture.
You're welcome.
Yeah, it is great. It's great. I'm surprised I haven't done a review of it yet. But every time I look at it, I'm like, damn, I want to run that shit. It's for anybody who hasn't. If you think Chalk might be too wacky for you, I highly recommend y'all check out Purple Highlands of the Purple Haunted Putrescence. You'll find the title. It's Purple Islands of Haunted Putrescence. I don't know. Damn it, Venger, what's the title?
No, you got it right. The Islands of Purple Haunted Putrescence.
Purple Haunted Putrescence. Okay, yeah. I kept putting purple in front of it and in the middle because it is glorious. It is glorious.
It's actually Pundit's favorite thing that I've done. So even Pundit recommends the Islands of Purple Haunted Putrescence.
We have to savor it every time that he gives you a compliment, because
I do. Yeah, I put that in my little locket, and then that goes in my hope chest, and that goes then in my prayer closet. Yeah.
Yeah, it's y'all have a very interesting kind of like bromance / rivalry. It's always fun to see, and I feel like Job has been wrapped up into that as well.
Yeah, it's kind of like a sibling rivalry. Pundit is like the older brother I never had and never wanted. but I did it now, so might as well enjoy it.
Yep. Yeah, as Malaki says, he did seem to like Chalt. He just referred to it as stupid Gonzo, but
yeah, he does like Chalt, but I think he likes the Purple Islands better.
Mhm.
But yeah, he likes Chalt too. He likes the second one, Fuchsia Malaise.
I'm gonna
he
take
likes the
a.
stuff even though he likes to rip on it. He finds things to complain about, even though overall he enjoys it,
Mhm.
which he should, because it's kind of similar to what he does with his Last Sun campaign.
Yeah, the
which
last
is also
Sun,
stupid
yeah.
Gonzo. So
It is. It is. Yeah. I'm gonna take a bold stance and say that that people should give more love to Alpha Blue.
Absolutely.
Even if it is very sexual, very naughty. At the same time,
you don't have to, run it that way. I mean, that's what it's for, and I prefer it like that. But if you wanted to keep it, I don't know if you could really do it justice and make it kid friendly. But if you just wanted to have like Fade to Blue or the Veil or whatever, you can still do a lot without getting into X-rated territory.
Yeah. I mean, so I haven't had the chance to run it yet because I haven't had the right group or atmosphere. But whenever I do, I intend to have it, fade to blue balls, basically. That way, I'm not, narrating this like the sexual stuff, because that's not really more than anything. We want the sleaze without the discomfort, and we want the STDs that result from it.
Yes.
I did like the D6 system that you included for it, just because again it's more of the same, like very punchy. Like you can do a lot in a session. Like I feel like an Alpha Blue session would be a great pickup game.
Yes.
I feel like you may be the pickup game master, which I was
before I got married, I was the pickup artist master.
I was about to mention that, but I was going to feel bad if I was wrong and that was somebody else. And then you're going to be like, what the fuck are you talking about, Aaron? What are you saying? But yeah, I could have sworn that you mentioned something like that. So that's it is fitting. It is fitting.
Yes.
So I see that you were doing some Red Hand of Doom stuff.
That was there as a comparison for the Let's Be Pirates campaign, right? Back, this game was 95 or so, and I had created a plot that basically is the same as the plot of Red Hand of Doom, only I created on my own 10 years earlier. You got this huge number of goblins coming down out of this grassland to destroy the kingdom, and they are organized, and the only thing standing between them and taking the whole country out is the fact that these idiot adventurers keep running into their stuff. And I wanted to give my players an opportunity to either, raid the dungeons, find some weapons, raise an army, just warn the king, whatever they wanted to do with it, right? And instead they kind of looked at the battle plan they managed to steal and said, this kingdom's fucked. This sucks. Let's go be pirates. And then they ran off, climbed on a boat, and sailed off, grabbed some treasure. And by the time they came back, they were running into things like every port was full of refugees and disease, right? Kept running into martial law and press gangs. And this was the big aha for a lot of my players, realizing like there's like a moral dimension to what you're doing in the game, right? You choose to be a craven bastard and leave people to their fates, it's going to come back, just because the world keeps going, whether you're looking at it or not. This is not Skyrim. And it was an interesting one, because the fact that they had these massive consequences and I let them just walk away from my game and be pirates blew their minds.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was another one of these moments, like they're just so horrified with what they had done by not even giving warning about this is happening. And now, instead of, them risking their lives and maybe losing a couple of player characters, there's tens of thousands of people dead. They asked to end the campaign at session 4 or 5. and start something new. And after that, like, the players had so much more enjoyment out of the game. Because they knew that they had consequences. They knew they could do whatever they want. They also knew that the world was going to react to it through me.
Mm-hmm.
And it also meant I got rid of my one shit disturber player. So I had this one guy who was the younger brother of a player, and the older player's parents said, you can't play unless your brother's allowed to play too, and your cousin for that matter. And so he would come with these two tag-alongs, and one of them turned out to be like an absolutely brilliant player. But the other guys, like, things like, I think I'll jerk off in the court to the queen, seeing as how she seems hot, and the like, and caused numerous TPKs, players getting outlawed, that sort of thing. And so when he realized that, no, this is not a consequence-free spree, he quit the game because he couldn't enjoy it anymore, knowing that there was going to be consequences to his actions. So I got rid of the shithead in the group.
What a little bitch.
A lot of my articles are summaries of odd campaigns I've had over the years. I've got another article on there that I'm quite proud of about a campaign I did that only had 2 combats, even though it ran from 1st to 30th or 1st to 20th level.
Damn. Jesus.
It was all courtly intrigue, backstabbing. I gave my players experience for doing things like stealing intelligence, sowing gossip, embarrassing their rivals publicly in court, that sort of thing, as well as combat. And they said, well, shit, if we can just be mean girls, let's do that instead and see how screwed up we can make this campaign world simply by using gossip, rumors, tournaments, sporting events, and the like to reach our goals. And I got about 300 hours out of that campaign in only one serious combat and a couple of, simulated ones in tournaments.
Yeah, that sounds kind of like, what I was intending to do with my Lion and Dragon game. Basically having them control 2 different player character groups, one of which is the courtly group, and then the other one is the grunt. They're the grunts that are being ordered to go and do the dirty work that the courtly groups may be asking them to do, and that kind of thing. And that is kind of what would end up happening, because the courtly people, they're not going out and doing the adventuring. They might end up stabbing somebody, but they're definitely not expected to be wading into combat or anything like that. But they would level up from it, and that would be appropriate for the game. But yeah, that's cool. Especially, I love that you got the players to buy into it, because I think it takes a special group to be able to pull that kind of game off, I would imagine.
Yeah. Well, if you make it easy by holding their hands for a couple of adventures, then they can get into it. And it helps that I'm a complete literary nerd. I actually did several courses in university on the Elizabethan court. So I had things like course material about famous insults that were exchanged in the court and how they panned out and the like to draw on. You have to really be willing to kind of take a deep dive to create good courtly intrigue, either into fiction like, say, Sarah Douglas's stuff, or even Game of Thrones, or you have to be willing to look at history to get that kind of intrigue possible.
Yeah, I basically bought an ass ton of medieval history books and Renaissance and stuff related to royal families and them all trying to kill each other for various plots of land. That was something I was going to be really getting into, because but definitely Game of Thrones, I think, is a really fantastic resource, at least from my peasant layman perspective. It seems like there's a lot of this is how somebody might try and overthrow somebody's influence, or screw with them, and a lot of good shit there. So
I'd be interested to try it sometime, but I just don't have the resources at hand to keep that going for more than like a session or 2. So hey, props to you, man. I don't that sounds incredible, mostly because I don't think I could do it.
But yeah. don't think I'd have the time and patience now that I'm in my 40s to run that kind of thing. And you're 25 and don't have anything better to do with your time. You can sit down and think about these things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can remember being motivated in my 20s and buying going to Half Price Books and buying a dozen books on medieval stuff, and like Aaron was saying, courtly things and reference materials for that kind of age, and being all I'm going to do this whole big thing. And I mean, it almost never materialized, but the motivation, and the passion was there for a while.
Yeah. The most I've been able to do recently, just with all the stuff I've had going on, is listen to timeline documentaries on YouTube and stuff like that, because it's a way to do it.
Good, easy, going into your 40s, compromise.
Yeah.
Speaking of compromise, I should get going. You guys can keep going if you want, but I've got to, I've got to do some family time before bed. So, good show, guys. Thanks for coming on, Brian and Aaron. Thanks again for having me, and everybody for watching.
Having you, it's your show too, bro.
That's true. Thank you for me. Thank you, Avenger. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Good night, guys.
All right. See you later.
Night.
I did want to hit a comment here. So this was about Alpha Blue, I'm pretty sure. Malaki says one-on-one gaming with Dolly Pop, maybe. Maybe. I still feel like I would probably do the fade to blue balls there, just because I think that if we were going to do that, we'd probably want to record it just for people's amusement, and we don't want to gross anybody out. So
when I was first starting the idea of the podcast, I actually had thought about doing the Thought trilogy for Alpha Blue, but I was too chicken shit to actually, pitch that.
Mm-hmm.
I do play a lot of one-on-one role-playing games with my wife, and I would totally do Alpha Blue. I don't think I'd record that for any amount of money. But it could be a lot of fun if you played it right.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be the right level of sleazy, and you got to have people who have absolutely you need theater geeks. You need people who are absolutely got no shame in order to run a game like that as a podcast.
Yeah. That is my wife for sure. I can probably fake it, to a certain degree. I might be able to pull it off. And she has some theater geek friends that it's possible that it could happen, but yeah, it'd be tough. I know that a lot of people, the typical thing that they say is, I don't want to role play sex stuff with a table full of other dudes, and I get that, that's kind of for me. I typically don't want to role play romance, and it's not that it's other dudes necessarily. It's just that it's people that are not my wife, I feel like I would probably be more amenable to it if I was single. But I don't know, maybe that's just me. But if it's just whenever we were playing, and I've had, it's usually the female players that are I want to bang that dude or something, then we'll do the roles, we'll adjudicate it somehow, and then we'll make a joke about it, and it's fine. We've had that with male players too, but usually that Dolly Pop says I came back in with that's my wife for sure. I can fake it.
Before I had my kids and ended up having to close down my business so I could stay home and take care of them, I live in an area where daycare is like $50,000 a year, so it's cheaper for me to not have a job and take care of the kids. But my job before that was as a life coach, and I worked for an organization that was about saving marriages and getting sex back into marriages. So I'd sit and I can talk to anybody about anything, right? Because I'd be talking to wives about how to improve their blowjob technique or the like for money.
You got a cup of the balls. Sorry, I didn't mean to derail. Dolly Pop is recalling back to a dwarven prostitute from our very first 5th edition campaign named Beatrice, who had a beard that could rival the best of us. And our half-orc friend definitely knocked dim boots. I think there was a halfling that knocked dim boots too. So it was a very successful prostitute. But yeah, that's got to be a good skill. I've always been I've always had a hard time talking about sexual stuff, just with people that aren't not that I'm not intimate with or whatever. So I feel like that would be if it's not couched in a way that I can make a joke about, then it might be kind of awkward for me to pull it off at the table, I feel like. But that's my struggle. Other people are probably better equipped to handle stuff like that. This is usually, I've noticed that usually whenever I make my characters, they tend to be very, very asexual and aromantic in a lot of ways. Like they're usually very closed off. Let's say, so the last character I played was a very, very, very old wizard who he was just basically, he probably couldn't get it up anyway. Is that old. And then before that, I had this old dwarf who was married and, trying to fix his marriage. So, I mean, he wasn't going to be hitting on anybody. And then I've had several characters that are just absolute psychopaths, and we just don't want to think about them copulating with anybody, So, oh, that's right. Beatrice was a mute dominatrix. I'm pretty sure she was also a dwarf, though. I feel like that was, I feel like that was how it went, but yeah. So I'm actually about to be playing in a 5th edition game with the usual friends, and for once I said that I'm going to be playing a character that actually is going to try and hit on people, because I'm the only one that never does almost. So we're just gonna have to see how that plays out. I'm probably still going to play it off as jokes though, because I don't want to.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to be completely mortified if the DM takes it seriously. Then I'm put on the spot and I'm like, oh shit, now I have to actually, play it for real. Oh God, you didn't play it off. Let's see. Okay, now she's shaming me. She said I had that one character that got it on with your character. That was only because the rest of the table kept pushing it so much. To the extent, so she had a character that was a pixie. No, it wasn't a pixie. Maybe it was a pixie. I think it was a pixie. She had a character that was a pixie and I had a character that's a furbolg. And this is 5th edition, so they're not like the old school furbolgs.
Right.
They were the new school furbolgs that are just basically Disney princesses with giant bodies and everything. But in any case, there was this whole thing about how my character and her character like apparently had a thing, but we never really got into it too much. But like the rest of the table kept joking about it so much that eventually the DM gave me a ring of shrinking and then her a ring of enlarging, so that we would have the anatomical compatibility in order to get it on, basically.
I was about to ask if there are death saves involved.
No, because it made her like halfling size and it made me like human size. And it's like, well, I mean, it's uncomfortable. It probably shouldn't happen. It sounds terribly degenerate, but what the hell? I guess we could have pulled out the old tables from Fatal to figure out, is this the right vaginal circumference? But we're not gonna.
One day I have to get my hands on that game. I really do.
Somebody was Kringe was telling me, he's one of the guys on Twitter, and you might have seen him around before.
Oh, I follow Kringe and Brad for shits and giggles.
Yeah. Kringe was pointing out that the copyright on Fatal has expired. He was saying that he and I need to take it up and then create Fatal 2nd edition or something like that. But I don't know. Again, like I feel like I could probably put some terrible, awful sexual things on paper. As long as I don't have to act it out in front of the people at the table, I should be okay. But if I'm writing a system I'm not going to play, then what's the point?
Yeah,
then again,
Fatal Third Edition sounds like an interesting project.
I'm sure a lot of people have probably made games that they never even played.
No doubt.
Oh, is there anything else that you want to talk about before we head out?
No, I had a lot of fun. I mean, I could ramble for hours, but nobody wants to see that. So.
Oh, I'm sure you're selling it short. I know that for me, so I try to make the kind of stuff that I like to partake of myself,
Mhm.
and one of those things is having stuff that I can just have playing in the background to listen to while I'm, playing video games or something like that. And in that case, I'm usually annoyed whenever it's over too soon, and I'm like, oh damn, now I have to pick something else to listen to because YouTube is stupid and it's going to try and put on something I don't even want to listen to from the autoplay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Like I watch one video that's like politically themed, and the next thing I know, it's like it's trying to give me Fox News all day long, and I'm trying to listen to RPG stuff, bro. Come on. Stop trying to give me like official CNN shit, fuck off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know what the heck YouTube thinks of me, but it sure as hell sends me some weird ass recommendations.
Oh, so I don't think we hit on your reviews that much. So you do reviews.
Mm-hmm.
And quite prolifically.
When I started creating this blog, right? Well, one of the things one of the big influences on me was Ben Milton's channel. That's one of my favorite YouTube background things, right? Is listening to him listening to him go over stuff, and he really got me very envious about the kind of things people were sending him, right? I started looking at a lot of the books he was covering, like Chris Kutaliak's Hill Canton trilogy in particular really blew my mind when I first started looking at the OSR stuff. And so I kind of said, well, wouldn't it be good if I could, take some of my old my time doing criticism of movies and computer hardware back shortly after I was out of college, and apply it to something I'm really passionate about, role-playing games. And actually, at the same time, create a quality review of a sort that people haven't seen before. And so I kind of came up with the format I did, and I've started just viewing anything I get my hands on, and I'm still doing it. Now, if I have a little extra cash, or my modules are selling fairly well, all that money goes straight back into buying the next handful of role-playing games to read and check out. And I'm hoping that now that a couple of the guys like Peter Spizzabi on Twitter are trying to set up like a Canadian game swapping circuit, that I could probably get rid of some of the stuff like my first edition Eclipse Phase manual, which I could happily toss out and get some stuff that I really want to read. But I have a very particular format because if you're going to have a review, you should have a philosophy, right? So many people just sit down, they say, well, this is what I like about it. Or they'll sit there and they'll just go over every page of the book on you. And so I said, well, here's what I want.
Page.
Here's how I found it. Here's who it's aimed at. Here's the engine if you want to know something about the mechanics. Here's the things I thought really stood out as the best components of it. And here's the places where I would have liked to see things done differently, or that the author could say do in another edition or another release that would make it that much better. And then finally, what can you hack out of it? Why would you want to buy it? Where could you use it at your table? And it leads to like painfully long reviews for some things. Like I said, I've been working on my Shadow of the Demon Lord review for a week. But it is really rewarding because, after the first few reviews, I've had people send me stuff. They want me to look at it, and then they take what I say to heart, and they make a few changes and come back with something that is a little better for it.
Yeah, I mean that is fantastic, and I have to say, you kind of put me to shame a little bit, because my process is pretty much like, well, I guess my philosophy is I'm not going to call it a review unless I've run it. Typically, I want to say that I've stuck by that. So I have a lot of impressions, and usually it's just like what I like and not like in some kind of, and usually it's just some jumbled mess of thoughts. So it's good that there are people like you out there, because, in my case, it's like I'm good for if you're excited about it already, or you just kind of want to see what I think, but you're taking it with a grain of salt. It's good to have people that are a little bit more methodical and all that kind of stuff, and um, especially whenever you provide that much context, because again, like for me, I kind of tend to throw shit on the wall, that I just my personal feelings and whatnot. So it's cool to have that. And everybody, you should check out the link. It's in the description to the blog that Brian has. And, there's a ton of stuff on there. And what I like is that a lot of it, they're the things that, they're OSR stuff, kind of like some other stuff too. And, there's some zines on there. See the D12 monthly one. I'm going to have to check that out, because that's done by some really cool people that I like. And so I'm looking forward to seeing, what they got going on there. I don't know. I don't know why I haven't jumped on board on that already. I think I've been sleeping on zines for the most part is the biggest issue.
It's easy to miss them when you're either looking at the big books out there, or you just are looking at whatever came on the doorstep this week, right? With D12 monthly, I made a concerted effort, because Russ was just starting out when about the same time I was. He's just putting content out at the same time I was, and I want to be a booster, right? More than anything else, I want to make sure that people are seeing the cool stuff I'm seeing. Right? Like I said, when I first got into the OSR, it blew my mind. Like, here's these old games that I loved as a kid, taken and tweaked and made really different, and these adventures that are just creative in ways that I would never have thought of myself. Right? That's why I love, say, Venger's work. Is I'd never really been exposed to Gonzo style gaming in any way, shape, or form. I didn't touch modules until I was in my 30s. Right? I was homebrew everything. And so, like, this different style of play really blew my mind. I wanted to be able to share it because it's so cool. And, if I can help another person get some exposure at the same time, why wouldn't I?
Yeah. There's a great spirit of just sharing the shit that we're interested in, and the shit that we make. And I love that a lot about this. It's been really cool. Like, and that's something that it's really steeped in the minds of the people that make all this cool stuff. I was just, everybody's just pretty much, for the most part, pretty humble dudes. I have to say, for the most part, because there's a big asterisk with like a few names on there that are probably not at all humble dudes. but for the most part, I mean, that's one thing that's really mind blowing. Whenever I went to North Texas RPG Con, was, Matt Finch is a really, really awesome guy. I met all kinds of people that are making stuff in the RPG hobby, and they're just very chill people, and they're just happy that people are having fun.
Absolutely.
That's the thing that honestly, that's the thing that's kind of been wearing on me lately. Is just there's a lot of people that have been pushing the just hating on how other people enjoy the hobby, and I'm just getting sick of it. I just really want to focus on what we love.
Twitter, the last couple of weeks in particular, has just been horrendous.
It's there, it's there, but it's also, it's also in my Discord sometimes. I even have a 5e venting chamber channel on my on my Discord, because I'm like, if we don't have this chamber there, and sometimes it's the most popular channel because people just have to scream, and I get it. I completely understand why, but if we don't have like some kind of separation from that, it's like somebody actually is like, okay, I'm stuck with this because that's the most popular thing and that's the group I can get. So I'm going to talk about it for a minute about how I'm making it better or something. And then it's just like, all you get is garbage. It's terrible. I hate it. Blah, blah, blah. We got to have like, it's got to be a valve, a release valve. You got to have an ability to be productive about it. So yeah, lately I've just been on kind of like I've been wanting to be more positive because it's wearing on me, man. Shit. But in any case, most people they are cool. They're just happy to see other people be cool. I feel like a lot of the negativity is usually because earlier that day somebody was a dick to them,
Yeah,
or something like that.
definitely. Social media is really good at making people take out their frustration on random strangers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just this extended chain of unpleasantries that everybody is passing along, and we just have to be the ones that buck the trend, I suppose. And but at the same time, there's also another part of me that doesn't want to be the kumbaya guy, because then it looks like I'm some virtue signaling loser. Like, oh, I'm just a good guy, guys. There's another contrarian part of me that wants to be like, nah, I'm not. Fuck all y'all.
Well, I have no problem with people thinking of me as kind of a cuddly teddy bear. Occasionally I'll come onto a place like this and say something absolutely horrendous, and that'll make sure people don't get too much of the wrong idea about me. But I just want to be positive. I want to help people. I don't see any point in. And when it comes to social media, and like, as much as I would love to rant and rave or talk about politics, or like, there's no productivity in it. It'll just make me grumpy all day. I got little kids to enjoy. What the hell am I going to make myself grumpy for?
Yeah, I mean, that's true. That is true. I think we just need to have that light in our lives, and wherever you can find it. And I don't want to be the one that's snuffing it out for other people. If at all possible. But I am human, and I will fuck up from time to time. And sometimes that means I got to talk shit about 5th edition or whatever. But I'm gonna try. I'm trying to do better with that. I don't want to shit on what other people actually like. If somebody's like, I like this, whatever, I'm not gonna be like, you're stupid. It's like, what the fuck is the point of that? But and I would say that, like, just being like, well, I don't like that, it's only like slightly better than that. It's not really a whole lot of let's see.
The Wizards of the Coast comment is fair. They are a bunch of idiots.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's hard to say. Like, if they pull off what they're trying to do, then maybe they're 4D chessing and we just don't know it. But at the same time, there was somebody in the Discord earlier that actually, I want to say that they work at a bookstore, and they were saying that somebody that they usually have come in that buys 5e stuff was returning Strixhaven because they were just mad about how it turned out, and that people were also complaining about the Ravenloft book and all that kind of stuff. So maybe in those being non-OSR types, So but it's kind of a mixed bag. I know that in my personal play circles, I like, there's one guy that I play with that he was happy with Witchlight, and I want to say that he may have been happy with Ravenloft. I can't remember which. Yeah, but he seems like he's been mostly happy with a lot of the 5e stuff. I don't know if he did Candlekeep. Oh yeah, you did reviews on Candlekeep stuff, didn't you?
Yeah, I did some ranting on Candlekeep stuff, probably the meanest stuff I've written. I must have opened the book to the wrong adventure just to start with, because there's one in there, I can't even remember the name of it, but the villain is a gnome named Stonky Knobtopper, but he goes by the codename Rooster Muffin in his cult, who have discovered that one of the towers in Candlekeep is a rocket ship, and he's going to somehow prove that he is better at keeping the books than the keepers, who won't initiate him by piling them all in a rocket ship and firing himself and his cultists into outer space with no food. And somewhere along the line, there's living robots that are supposedly a threat, but will actually be burned up if the rocket actually takes off. And their whole action is delayed long enough for the characters to advance, because somehow he didn't notice that he'd lost an all-important magic ring. It's like, what the?
There's a lot of problems there.
Yeah, the one by Chris Perkins in there as well is just like, This book he's writing in the beginning. This book is about getting rid of alignments and race. We don't give you alignments or genders for any of the NPCs, right? And then he writes an adventure about this race of good and virtuous were-ravens who are all lawful, all good, all kind and wise, and are trying to keep you from doing a horrible, stupid thing through trickery, mimicry, and illusion.
Did he forget what project he was working on?
I gotta wonder.
That is interesting, especially kind of considering he's the he's really the, I don't know, like the flagship adventure writer for them. Is it pretty much, being the source of Strahd and
no, he's the brand manager. I'm not exactly sure what that is supposed to handle right now, but
well,
there's about to be a reshuffle anyway. Chris Cox, the head of Wizards of the Coast, just got promoted to CEO of Hasbro, so we'll see how that pans out.
Well, I know that typically whenever people talk about official D&D adventure and good, there's usually the name Chris Perkins as a writer attached to it. That's usually been the way that people have talked about it. I know that Rime of the Frost Maiden seemed kind of middling. There were some positives, some negatives, but as far as Tomb of Annihilation, that's usually the one that a lot of people tell me that's a really, really good one. That was done by him. Curse of Strahd, even though that was still him kind of redoing the original one, it was still done by him.
He's very good at taking old material and making it new again. I'll hand him that.
Yeah, and if it means that people get to experience some of the old shit, in some capacity, then I guess I'm happy. It's better than perhaps it fading into obscurity and them never getting to experience that bit of history, I guess.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know how much credit he deserves, but at least it's being done, I guess.
Yeah, it was a very interesting kind of initial approach. I think that Wizards of the Coast was wise to do that. I'm not sure what they're doing now. They're trying to create their own original material, right? Because the Strixhaven and the Into the Feywild one and that's where they're finally getting into their new original stuff with a very new creative direction that doesn't jive with the culture of D&D in the past, but then they're not interested in the old audience to begin with.
Yeah. I would assume that with this, they're going to have to do something that's got a ring of classic D&D. I feel like they can't just leave that behind completely. So far they've been introducing these kinds of things that are not classic D&D style, but they've been peppering those things in. You had the Mad Mage, Mega Dungeon one. You had again Tomb of Annihilation and Rime of the Frost Maiden, and some other ones that those look like what D&D is supposed to look like roughly. But I can't imagine them just leaving that behind completely. I can't picture Adventurers League being just a whole bunch of Strixhaven, Wild Beyond the Witchlight, stuff like that. The Candlekeep stuff. It doesn't. I don't know. It sounds weird, but I mean, I guess I can't put it past them.
I think what we're going to see ultimately, I think it's what they're doing already. Malachi is giving us a pretty good take on it. Is that they're basically fragmenting the audience into two different streams. You got the people who are interested in their original characters, kind of a sacred expression of self, and story game type experience on the one hand, and you got the classic people, the people who are interested in the classic editions, the classic play, the OSR guys, and on the other. And they don't have to really serve them both with the same product. They can very easily just keep the print on demand stuff for first and second edition sitting out there. They can capitalize endlessly through the cut on DM's Guild and Drive Through RPG for OSR stuff and promote it without having to lift a finger and keep us OSR guys happy. At least as long as we don't get so frustrated we make a point of not giving them any of our money. Right. And I said a couple of years ago, or I wrote an article about it a year ago, about the fact that they could easily just fork it into a classic D&D and some kind of, adventure D&D. And the classic D&D, you start at level 1, you move your way through. It's highly lethal. The characters aren't too powerful. And the new school D&D, whatever they would call it, start them at level 4, give them a whole bunch of cool abilities, lots of custom races, lots of custom classes, a hell of a lot of options. And then you could release adventure modules that work for both. You say, okay, for classic players, do this, and this. For the adventure school players, you do this, and this. Or for 5th level classic or 1st level adventure style D&D players. And you could easily fork it. And people at the time said I was crazy for suggesting it, but since then a lot of other people said, well, you know what, it's not that far off from what they seem to be doing anyway. They're kind of balkanizing the fan bases. As long as they keep having OSR stuff on Drive Through RPG and getting a cut from it, and as long as we keep as enthusiastic as we are, they're not completely losing our dollar.
Yeah, as much as for a while I was basically professing I'm no longer giving WotC any money. That's whenever I wound up into the beautiful land of these things, And as long as they keep making these available, these print on demands of classic modules that I never got to experience, and now I can run because I also got a hold of this bad boy.
Sweet.
Yeah, I'm probably going to keep buying that stuff, and I'm not going to feel bad about it in the least, as long as I can, especially because they don't cost much, and so I don't feel bad at all writing in them,
Right.
And it's a pretty sweet deal. So, I don't need them to make anything for 5th edition that I like. I'm happy. I'm happy as it is. It's I guess it's kind of sad maybe that the more that they create the kind of stuff that they're creating, the more that's what D&D is to people. And the less there is a chance that whenever I meet up with people and I'm like, oh, you like D&D? Me too. And then we start talking about what our games are about and what we're interested in and maybe consider playing together. It's like there's going to have to be this whole conversation about, well, your PCs are possibly going to die in my games if I run them, right? And it's actually quite likely. And we're not going to there may be restrictions on the kinds of characters you create, and that kind of thing. Like it's a whole different thing. We're not going to play a smoochy game that's all about whose character smooches who, and
yeah. You're going to end up with a lot of signal to noise in a very different culture. I think eventually the OSR guys are going to give up on the D&D brand or name altogether, because it is going to be too frou-frou, too sweetness and light for our tastes, too focused on, this is my original character that I paid $150 for a custom character sheet, portrait, and custom mini for. And I put them in my official tote bag. We're not going to buy into that. And so as long as they, and ultimately I think we're just going to stop using the term D&D. I'm sure there's a lot of people love to hear that, but talk about specifically being like a Lamentations player or a Chalt player or a Swords and Wizardry player or what have you.
Yeah. I don't know what could actually pick up that mantle though, because the OSR is pretty. Everybody kind of has their brand, not brand, but their variant that they kind of like to rally under. You got the people that are very much into old school essentials. You got some people that are extremely vehemently into basic fantasy, and that's understandable because it's very inexpensive and high quality, and I completely respect that. It's yeah, you can get everything for free. You got others that unite under Osric, and it's just I don't know what if there could be a big massive old school Renaissance publisher that could kind of take all of that weight. I'd be interested to see what that looks like, but I feel like that would almost I don't know, not defeat the purpose, but it would be, I just don't know what it would look like.
It wouldn't really be compatible with the sharing every DIY culture we've got.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can say I'm playing an OSR game and I will automatically know what the monster stat blocks look like. I'll automatically have an idea of what the character sheets are going to look like, and I can guess at what your character generation's like. And you can take any OSR system and just talk about how it varies from, say, BX, or how it varies from AD&D. Do it in a page. It's not difficult to do, right? Like Swords and Wizardry. Here's it doesn't have an initiative system, but it has 3 suggestions, and your characters are using this really, really light character modification sheet, but you can play assassins in it. Boom. Now you know Swords and Wizardry and how it's different from basic fantasy. Right.
Okay, of course, Iran the Relentless is going to push that everyone should just unite under Swords and Wizardry complete. So, and who can argue with that kind of logic? It is fantastic. It's pretty inexpensive. You can get a very beautiful, hardcover or softcover copy. I'm pretty sure you can get it in hardcover. But it's good shit. It's good shit.
I like having a different OSR game for each mood, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, since Malaki is talking about White Box F Mag, that's the game that you run whenever you're not really worried about having any kind of extreme mechanics to deal with or anything like that. I've got my DCC for whenever I want things to be kind of wacky and off the wall, and I mean they all have their purposes. It's just like any arsenal. You got this for this situation, this for this situation.
Brian, you're carrying your Lamentations of Flame Princess manual around. Have you been listening to Cradle of Filth again?
OSR or Dungeon Delver works as a potential replacement. The problem is that like OSR, so OSR has so many different interpretations of what it falls under. Some people will say you have to have the 6 stats, it has to be based off of one of the original editions. If you change it too much, it's no longer OSR. You can't have like Troika as an OSR because it's fighting fantasy based, and Travelers barely, like, maybe it's OSR, maybe it's not, depending on how you look at it. And then to say Dungeon Delver, that kind of excludes the people that play OSR in the more Renaissance rather than revival methods that they're not doing dungeon delving, but maybe they're using the same kind of like I wouldn't say that that I do a lot of dungeon delving in Lion and Dragon, but it's still OSR. You could do some, but for the most part it's going to be it just depends. Probably more overland travel and courtly shit and trying to investigate stuff. Investigation, I think, mostly.
Honestly, I don't think we need to be that unified either. Our diversity really is our strength for once,
Yeah.
OLD, I like it.
Yeah, people. So Iran says the lack of a central game is a strength, not a weakness. I think he agrees with what you were saying. So yeah, let's just keep doing our thing and buck the system and just enjoy all of this stuff that some people left behind and said is archaic and not any good. And we say nay. We can enjoy these things and make them better, or at least bring them back to life. So
if they want to take the old brand and run it into the ground, that's their business. It doesn't affect me one bit what people think D&D is. It doesn't. Not really. Especially because they're not giving us wedgies anymore or anything like that, for liking it. I say that like I own that, but I wasn't around in that time period, and I didn't play D&D in that time period, so I have to say that I don't have the honor of being able to consider myself part of that history. But you didn't miss much. I had guys steal my books and burn them in the name of Jesus. So
douchebags.
Yeah.
That is sad. That is sad. Malaki says, using Castles and Crusades, I can run Temple of Elemental Evil, Chalt, Sailor on the Starless Sea, and Forge of Fury with little converting. That is the beauty.
Yeah.
That is absolutely the beauty. All right. Well, I think that's gonna have to wrap it up, because I've got to take my lady to go somewhere and before everything closes for the evening.
Right.
But Brian, I appreciate you being here. Like I said, everybody, y'all need to check the link in the description. Check out his blog. Follow him on Twitter. Any other social media apparatuses that you happen to be on?
No, hell no. Twitter is bad enough.
Yeah, I got you. Pretty much same here. I did MeWe for a little while, but I was like, that's just another thing for me to keep up with. And yeah. But oh, she says that we don't have to go. Well, honestly, I also kind of want to go get something to eat.
Oh, that's fair.
But let's see. Oh, we do have some comments. I hate ending whenever there's still comments that haven't been looked at. Cal says, I was bullied not because of gaming. I kept that secret mostly, but our high school game was canceled by the Satanic Panic. Man. Yeah, so that does suck. Halid says, I sat through almost a complete stream. I almost sat through a complete stream. Yeah, you did it, man. Let's see. Getting ratted out by the wife. I wasn't using her as an excuse. It's just like legitimately that was something that she was. Screw you, Iran. But yeah, I do need to eat something so that it's not so late that I put on turn into a gremlin. That whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Which, by the way, we watched Gremlins the other day. Again,
the second best Christmas movie ever made.
I know, right? It's fantastic. What's the first best?
Die Hard, of course.
Okay, that's the right answer. That is the right answer. The wife fell asleep during that, but she falls asleep during anything if we watch it after 10. So I'm gonna have to make her watch Die Hard. Let's see. My high school said no D&D because Satan, and that was 94 to 96. Yeah, I've tried to get clubs set up for youth, to let them play D&D, and I've had those turned down because people said that they wouldn't be able to tell the difference between real life and D&D, and so they couldn't handle it, and I was like, wow. Die Hard was just boring. Oh my god, I'm about to file a divorce. Oh man. All right. Well, Brian, thanks again for coming by, and we'd love to have you again sometime.
Anytime. I had a lot of fun.
Heck yeah. And especially if I can get Venger on board with having you on more, we'd love to have you. But even if it's not on this, the GUYA, love to have you on for other stuff too.
Hit me up anytime.
All right, will do. So thanks everybody for tuning in, and y'all take it easy.